What's up everyone? Today I'm going to be going over my review of the M1 iPad Pro after one whole semester of being used for college. And before we get into the video, make sure you like and subscribe for more videos just like this and more iPad Pro content. Now let's get into the review. After using the iPad Pro for about 6 months now, one whole semester of college for extensive note-taking, research done, and all kinds of media consumption as well, because that's what iPads are mostly made for. I have a lot of new ideas and thoughts about the iPad Pro, and I'm just gonna say it out front. I actually really love the iPad Pro more than I thought I would initially. Now, I came from the Surface Pro, the one you can see here like right behind me, and I've been using that one for like maybe 4 or 5 years before I got the iPad Pro, and I was thinking that I couldn't adjust to, iPad OS because the Surface runs full Windows 10, and you can run full desktop apps and everything on that, which is what people are like really wanting on the iPad. But the more I use the iPad, the more I realize that it doesn't really matter that it doesn't run like desktop apps or pro apps or anything like that. What the iPad does that any other tablet or laptop can't do is that the iPad actually makes whatever workflow that you can adjust for it more fun and enjoyable to do. For example, I edit all my YouTube thumbnails on my iPad Pro, which is way more fun than going into Photoshop. Now, yes, I have less control over the graphic image or like the vector image or anything like that in like full desktop Photoshop, but it's more fun to use my iPad, and I don't really need it because I'm making like 250 megabyte YouTube thumbnails. I don't care about, color grading or color accuracy on my YouTube thumbnails. So any workflow like that you can switch over to the iPad just makes it more enjoyable in general. Now, the biggest thing for college students is going to be note-taking, and I was a little concerned about note-taking. I actually don't really enjoy like the ergonomics of the Apple Pencil at first, but I got used to it. It's fine. I like the capacitive button down the edge actually, because the capacitive button just feels more intuitive to use than a physical button that was on the Surface Pen. But I do miss having the other side of the Surface Pen. On the Surface Pen, this is the eraser side, and you can flip it over and use it like a real pencil. Even though this is the pencil, that's the pen. I don't know why they named it like that. But anyway, you can only have that one control, whereas the Surface Pen has more controls on it. And I thought I would not like giving up the more controls on it, but it doesn't really matter to me, honestly. It works just the same. Now, actually physically writing on the iPad is so amazing. It's actually way better than the Surface Pro. Because of the 120Hz display, the low latency from the Apple Pencil, it just makes writing feel so nice. Especially because I have a paper-like screen on my iPad, not affiliated or anything, but I just bought one, and it feels nice. The only issue with the paper-like screen is I can see like physical scratches on it. Maybe because I think I pushed down too hard on like when I'm writing. But anyway, I'd rather scratch up the paper-like screen than my actual screen on the iPad anyway. But writing on the iPad just feels really nice. I wouldn't say it feels like physical paper or anything like that, but it still feels pretty good, especially because I've been used to taking digital notes with the Surface for like almost the past decade now, honestly. One thing I can't recommend because I don't have it and because I think it's kind of dumb is the Magic Keyboard that Apple came out with. I think it just takes away the functionality of the iPad, which is to be used as a tablet and to be, take notes on it and everything, whereas people use it as a laptop replacement, which is terrible in my opinion. It is not a laptop replacement at all. In fact, I think it's more of a supplement to whatever you're already doing. Like I said earlier, the iPad just makes everything you do feel more fun. So if you can supplement that with whatever else is in your workflow, say if you're a video editor, you can video edit on your main PC or main laptop while you do photo editing on your iPad. For me, I'm a full-time college student, so I do a lot of coding and stuff on my laptop itself, but I'll do taking notes on here, or I'll do like research on here, looking up articles and things like that. I don't think the iPad will ever be like a laptop replacement. In fact, I don't think Apple wants that at all. That's the reason they have Sidecar for a second display, which I love. I love having 2 display setups anywhere I go. They also have, the things like universal control, which is going to be coming out soon. I don't have it yet, but you can control your iPad from your MacBook, so that'll be pretty cool when it comes out. And now let's talk about these iOS features, or iPadOS features, which is iPadOS 15. I saw it come out at the, Apple press conference or whatever it was, and that's really what convinced me to get an iPad, because a lot of those cool features I thought I would actually take advantage of, and I actually do really love them. I've done a full review on iPadOS 15 already, but basically I love focus modes and I have them automated to be on whenever, or like for location or time sensitive things or anything like that. I love quick notes because I love just jotting down quickly whatever comes into my mind no matter where I am on the iPad, and I pretty much always have my iPad at this point. AirPlay and AirDrop are also really great to use because I can sync things across my Mac and my iPad, or send them to each other, or I can play music from my iPad onto the MacBook because it has better speakers. So things like that just make the Apple ecosystem very well rounded. Especially because I have the AirPods Pro, which I recommend to every college student because it literally turns any floor in the library into a quiet floor, which is amazing for studying. So I would recommend any student get AirPods Pro, and it works perfectly well with, syncing across the laptop and the iPad and the iPhone. So I'm pretty far into the Apple ecosystem at this point, which I never thought I would be. It's just all these things make using the iPad so convenient for college students. Now let's get into some more technical details. So first I want to go over battery life, which is one of the most important things for college students. This iPad has easily lasted me an entire day at college. I get about 7 to 8 hours of screen on time using OneNote, having my Files app open with my lecture notes on the side, so I take notes on like that. And then I also use Notability for homework, and I also have Twitch streams playing in the background while I'm doing the note-taking. So I am multitasking around 3 apps at a time normally on my iPad, and the battery life is still incredible. I run into a few glitches so far. There was one where I could tell the display refresh rate was being locked at 60 FPS for some reason. There's been one where I used Notability for like an entire day, and for some reason the battery drained like way faster. I don't know why, but it's been fixed since then. And then after those 6 to 7 hours of screen on time from note taking, I'll have another 2 or 3 hours on top of that from Twitch stream viewing or YouTube watching. And the battery really never drops below 40% from me every time I plug it in at night. So I think for college students, the battery life is perfectly fine on the iPad Pro. I've heard some people complaining because this is the 11-inch that the battery life is a little less than the bigger one, but I'm not editing videos on here. I'm also not editing big Photoshop files or anything like that. I'm just taking notes, which is really what the iPad shines for, I feel like. Also, the battery life on the Apple Pencil is even more crazy because I can use this for 2 or 3 hours, and then when I put it back on to charge, it says it's at maybe 85%. I've never seen it drop below 80%. And I've been trying to go out of my way to drain the battery more with this the more I've been using it, and I still can't see it drop below 80%, even if I just don't charge it for 3 hours. So the battery on the Apple Pencil is kind of insane. Now, here are some things that I wish will come to the iPad. Number 1 is Xcode or any programming language support, because I would love to run Python on here, just because that's what I mainly work with. But I know they are slowly adding in Swift Playgrounds or whatever for iOS development. Maybe they'll add in a Python interpreter someday, or support for one, but so far there's no pro apps at all. No pro video editing, no pro music editing or pro audio, no pro coding or anything like that, which is a bummer. But again, this is not a laptop replacement. This is a supplemental to your laptop. It's literally the second screen to your laptop in Sidecar. However, I do hope coding does come to the iPad. It'd be amazing because so many people have iPads, and it'd help education people with teaching coding because it's just run natively on an iPad. That'd be amazing. So that's the one thing I do really hope comes, is native code support. There's also a couple surprises that I found with the iPad Pro that I didn't think about when I bought it. For the fact that I enjoy web browsing on the iPad Pro way more than on the laptop, especially now that Safari has extensions for iOS and iPadOS. It just makes web browsing so much better, I feel on the iPad than even on my laptop. I enjoy content consumption on the iPad a lot more than my laptop as well, because the laptop heats up more or anything. and the iPad just has a pretty great screen. Again, this isn't the 12.9 inch with like the XDR display or anything, it's just the regular LEDs display, but it's pretty good still. I like it. I haven't tried gaming on it yet because I don't really think I'd like any of the games that are available through Apple Arcade or through the App Store, but maybe I'll try gaming one day because gaming performance does look like it's really good on the M1 iPad Pro. So maybe one day I'll try it. But the biggest surprise that I found is actually for like more hobbyist type things. Like, if you don't know this about me, I produce and DJ some electronic music, and there's actually a really cool DJ app on here that you can actually mix music on with it. Again, I'm not a professional at this, but for like an amateur just messing around, I can do some pretty cool stuff with it. So I don't have to have like, you know, a $1,000 DJ deck with me to mix some music or anything. I can just do it on my iPad for fun. I've edited every YouTube short that's on my channel on the iPad Pro with Adobe Premiere Rush, and it works perfectly fine. Like, I've had no issues editing, you know, those short videos with it. I also do the thumbnail creation for all my videos on the iPad, which I didn't think I would do. I thought I would just use Photoshop forever. But yeah, things like that, you know, the little extra things like the shorts, the thumbnails, a DJ deck. Like, I didn't think I would ever do those on my iPad, but I ended up doing it because it's just so convenient. I can carry the iPad around and do all this stuff with. And again, this is more for like hobbyist enthusiasts of either DJing or editing or anything like that, because more professionals will want, you know, the full desktop app and full control over what they're doing, whereas this is just for fun. You can just mess around with it and like make a small little workflow with it, and it's great. I never thought I would enjoy it this much. And I'm sure for whatever hobby you have at home, there's probably an app that, you know, will help you do it as well, that you probably don't even know about. I didn't know about the DJ Deck app until just now, but yeah, it just makes things so much more fun, and I can just mix things on the go, or like if I have something in my head and an idea that I can just put it down and try to record it. So yeah, it's pretty fun. So should you get an iPad Pro for college? I'm not sure. It depends. Do you already have a laptop that's reliable or a desktop that's pretty reliable? Maybe you can. But I wouldn't recommend the iPad for your sole and only device for college, even now, even after using it for 6 months, and I use it every day. Some days I don't take my laptop to school, but there are days where I need a program in Python, or I need to run some sort of weird x86 app like a VHDL compiler or something. If you need to do any video editing, it's a lot easier on a desktop. Yes, you can do these things on an iPad, but it's not professional and it's not efficient enough to do them every day. Yes, you can do some of these things on an iPad, but it's just not efficient enough to do them every single day. It's more for fun. Like I said, I edit thumbnails maybe once a week or twice a week. I edit YouTube shorts like maybe once a week. If you already have a laptop that's reliable and good enough for college, and you want something for digital note-taking, the iPad is amazing. I'm not sure if the iPad Air or iPad Mini are any better. I haven't tried them, and this is literally the first iPad I've ever bought too, or ever owned even as well. So I can't compare it to anything else, but what I can say is compared to the Surface Pro, I enjoy using the iPad a lot more than the Surface Pro, and I enjoy content consumption, media consumption, and note-taking, and, you know, all the other fun little things like DJing on here. So I think the iPad Pro was worth it for me because I am enjoying using it a lot. I take notes, again, like 7 hours a day of screen on time is what I've seen on my notes apps. So I use that a ton, and the 120 Hz refresh rate makes it amazing. But if you're just getting into digital note-taking, or maybe on a limited budget, maybe look for an iPad mini or an iPad Air because that might be better for you. But what I can say is I do not regret purchasing the iPad Pro at all. I love it, I love taking notes with it, I love watching YouTube videos with it, I love editing the YouTube shorts and thumbnails on it. It's way more fun than on the computer, and I love, you know, the small quirky things like having a DJ deck on my iPad. I still can't believe that I don't have to lug around a $1,000 DJ deck if I want to mix some music together. And I'm sure there's something like that for every hobbyist or enthusiast out there, no matter what your hobby actually is. So I hope this review helps, and I hope that you don't just get an iPad Pro as your main device for college, but it's a pretty amazing secondary device. And thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video if you learned something new and enjoyed it, and hit subscribe for more videos just like this and more iPad Pro content coming soon. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.